Everyone's muted, but you're welcome to throw a message into the chat if you'd like. Trish, I like your nature background. Well, let's get started and more people can join. And I see that the spotlight button's here now, so I'll spotlight you in just a second. But first, I just want to say, hey, everyone, welcome. Thank you for joining us today for this online transition Q&A with Amr, the internet guy, the expert with online transition and online work. I do want to point out that we have an event with Minister Mona Fortier on Thursday at 4 p.m. It's a virtual town hall to ask your questions about really anything. It's an open forum. You can submit your questions in advance. Priority will go to those that are submitted in advance, and she's the Minister of Middle Class Prosperity and Associate Minister of Finance. So I hope you can join us. Please register. It's going to be a great one. And for anyone that has questions about commercial leases, we're doing a Q&A with a lawyer on Tuesday next week at 3:30 as well. So check out our events calendar. There's lots going on. But that's all I want to say. And then I'll turn it over to Amr to get us started and help us with our online transition to keep our businesses going strong. So Amr, take it away.
Thank you, Steph. Hey guys, thank you for being here, and I want to be as useful as I can. So I'll also be expecting some questions. We tried to have some questions beforehand, but maybe you missed it or you don't have any. I don't know. You probably have some as we go through. So let me just share my screen and we can get started. So does everyone see the screen already? You can do thumbs up or write in the chat.
I can see the screen. Looks good.
Perfect. So so the today that we were living in looked like this, where I don't know where it wasn't here in BC, probably New York. And this is what it looks right now. It shouldn't scare you. It doesn't scare me. It's just change, and change is, the only constant in life is change, and yeah, death as well, and taxes. This used to be the office. Now this is the office. So we've all woken up to this reality that things changed quickly. Many companies, many businesses, like I was working from home since 2016 after leaving the corporate life. And my first year, the biggest problem was the distractions of the fridge, the coffee machine, and the cat. Now I've gotten into the regular, routine of it, and it doesn't scare me anymore, and I'm more productive. And in fact, I don't know if I can ever go back to full-time corporate world, but that's what we do. So the reason why I wanted to do this is to make sure that people are prepared, because I know there's so much information flying around about doing business online and switching to e-commerce, and it's all good, but like if you're a non-technical person, it could be a bit confusing and could be a daunting task because you don't know where to start. So this is exactly why we're doing this, session today, and that's why I also want to have some questions. I don't want to be pushing something or presenting only. I also want to know what you guys are thinking. So my first thing is to think about, if I have a business and I'm going to be taking part of my business or even switching my business completely to online, or if I have an existing website, what do people want? So of course, if I'm going to be doing business online and people are going to be paying, they want security. So, without getting too much into the technicalities of these names, like you want to be able to know that when you put your credit card details, it's a secure place. Your data is going to be encrypted, which is a process to hide the details while the data is transferring between you and whatever shop you're buying from. And it's not only that, but most of the data breaches that happened, if you remember, Life Labs, there was a big data breach for Life Labs before. Usually, what happens when people penetrate a network or penetrate an IT system or a server, they go for the data that is stored because it's a little bit harder to breach during the data transfer, but it's not easy, but like an easier target to go where the data is actually stored. So this is a big part that people forget about. You also need to know that the site is reliable. So again, one of the most talked about pitfalls in e-commerce in general, that sites and places crash when they're under pressure. I'm glad that the government sites and the CRA site didn't crash this month because they were expecting millions, but they were also prepared for the millions who will go and apply. So this is the same thing. When you're doing your own business online, you don't want your site to crash, and you don't want your success to be your problem, when more people come in. The other thing that you look at and that people look at is that nobody likes a slow website. So, if you have an existing one, even without e-commerce, and you're going to be uh, giving information, educating your community, doing a lot more on your website, and switching from meeting people in person to giving a lot more information there, and you want more traffic to come, you need to make sure that it's speedy and it loads well. And also, when you're selling something online, nowadays people want more than one option. So you may want to have PayPal plus credit card payment. Maybe you may want to add something like an e-transfer or something like that. So people look for more flexible ways to pay. And at the end, of course, like in any business, if you're selling a product or a service, what happens after it's sold? So it's not about technology. If you see, like, most of the time, I personally neglect the technical part, and I'm all in favor for having a clear business process first. Then once we have a clear business process of what are the steps that we are doing and how things are working, then we look at what technology is best for us. So my starting point is, look at your websites if you have one. I'm sure everybody in this day and age would have a website of some sort. It could be something you did yourself, or something you paid someone else to do, or something that you're working on right now. So look at it. And then the first thing is, ask yourself, is it functional? Right? So by functional, I mean, does it actually do something to the visitor of your website, who's your prospect customer, and to you as a business owner? Are you getting inquiries? Are people downloading your, I don't know, ebook, or something that you have there for them? Are they subscribing to, like the chamber, for example? You went on the web page and you clicked register and you arrived here. So it is doing something because the registration works. Also, new members can go check out the chamber and they can sign up to become a chamber member, and get more information there, or maybe download some information packs and so on. Is it fast? Is it secure? Is it reliable? In most cases, people, especially, um, if you're building a website for the first time, what normally happens, a lot of people would spend money and bring like a web developer or a web designer to do it, but then they stick with the hosting plan, which is, I don't know, $2.99 a month or whatever. And I never understood this. Like, I never understand. Sometimes I see people spending $5,000 to build a website, but they only want to spend less than $100 a year for the hosting. Now it's more important than ever to have the right hosting, because when we're looking at speed, security, reliability, most of this comes from your infrastructure. It doesn't come from the website design. It actually comes from where it lives. The other part is, once it's done and it's up and running, are you going to be the one who's going to be looking after the security? Patches, maintenance, any updates, technology changes sometimes. They discover like a loophole somewhere and then they plug it. So they issue an update. Who's going to do this update for you? Would it be the same person or company who built the site? Would it be you? Do you need a third party? Do you have a backup? This is another thing. Since COVID-19 started and everyone has started to work from home, the hackers now are more active than normal. Like when I look at my back end for a couple of my websites, even my company's own websites, HumanTalents, on one day I had 141 hacking attempts in one day. It's like crazy. Luckily, they were all thwarted, but generally speaking, if you think people with a lot of knowledge, sometimes they use it in a good way, sometimes they use it in a bad way, but now they have more time than ever. So this is something you need to think about as well, since if you're thinking about having a transactional website where goods and services are going to be sold, so it's important to know who's going to be looking after that part. The third thing that you look at, do you build a website from scratch? Do you build your own e-commerce storefront or hire someone to do it? Or do you use a ready-made service or platform like Shopify or Square or something else? We're gonna concentrate a little bit more on one of the upcoming slides on how to choose, but also things to think about. Setting up a business online, it's not, by the way, it's not difficult. It doesn't take forever. You're looking at maybe 2, 3, 4 weeks, maybe a little bit more, depending on the number of products. But you need to be prepared. So as an example, for every product that's going to go online, you need to have a description, you need to have a photo, you need to have a price. Think about, are you going to have a discount? How long is the discount going to last? So there's a little bit of groundwork, which is not technical. Again, it's all about the business itself that you need to think about. And then would you have somebody, is it going to be you, somebody else, someone who's working with you, who's going to be receiving the orders and fulfilling them? Who's going to, pack, if you're selling a physical good, who's going to do the packing, run to the post office and, ship it? And who's going to handle post sales when people have an issue, they want a question, a refund or an exchange or something? Now, some of the stuff that sorry, let me just go back a little bit. You wouldn't see the word design anywhere, do you? Like there's no, I didn't speak of design, right? So the reason I don't put the focus on the design is that the look and feel is only part of the equation, is only good enough to attract people to the website. And when you go to e-commerce, functionality becomes more important. So it's more important to have a site that's loading fast, that's secure, reliable, and that actually works, right? So things that get forgotten sometimes when we're switching from brick and mortar to e-commerce is the shipping. If I'm selling physical goods, where am I shipping? Is it BC? Is it all of Canada? Am I shipping to the rest of the world? United States? Every state has a different tax system. So how am I going to do the taxing? How am I going to deal with the taxing? The other part is payment gateways. If you have, let's say you're a coffee shop and you have Square as your point of sale, maybe you want to use Square again online so that everything goes through the same gateway, the same portal, so that you don't have to deal with many different other places where the money goes to. Because when someone pays online, it doesn't hit your bank account on the spot. It goes to the gateway first, then it goes to your bank account. And there are some gateways that can keep your money for a little longer. These days, they're all doing their best to send the money to the bank account within 3-4 days. But I've had cases when PayPal kept the money for 60 days. So again, there's a question to be asked, which one is better? The order fulfillment, of course. If again, I'm talking about physical goods here, I'm gonna talk about virtual services and digital goods on the next slide. So sometimes you want a third party, like, sometimes you go and buy something on Amazon, it's fulfilled by Amazon, but the seller isn't Amazon. So it's basically somebody who's given their stock of goods to Amazon, and Amazon does the fulfillment. So if you're going to be doing something similar, then you need to decide from the beginning, before getting into e-commerce, who's this third party? Do they have a piece of code or a plugin or something that the person helping you build your e-commerce store can use and integrate with them? Are you integrating with Canada Post? Are you integrating with any other packaging company? Is it, are you packaging the stuff at home, or how does that work? So again, it's all like kind of business questions, that feed into the technology part. CRM integration, or the customer relationship management, or even if you don't have a customer relationship management system, and you might be using something like a mailing list, like MailChimp, or something similar. There's a word that I hate to say, and I like, it scares me when I hear it, the word funnel, because a lot of people talk about funnels and creating funnels and whatever. All what this means, if somebody comes to my website, buys, where is that information? Where is it stored? Is there a way for me to message everyone who bought from me before, so that if I have a discount or an offer or something new, I can share with them? So I don't want to go and copy an email manually and send to one by one. So maybe I need to integrate my e-commerce or my website with one of those like mailing lists, or with my CRM system. And also, I got to think about anything else, like, do I want to do advanced discounts that are automatic? Let's say, for example, I have an Easter offer, and then I say, on the 20th of April, this coupon will no longer work. So even if I forget it, it will expire on its own. I don't have to go and remove it manually. Or maybe I want to give discounts based on volume. So if you order between 5 and 10, you get 10%. And then if you order between, I don't know, 10 and 20, you get 15%, and so on. The other thing is, I was speaking with a dear friend of mine who runs a restaurant locally here in Poco, and we were discussing whether Skip the Dishes, DoorDash, and Uber Eats are the best way to go, or do I do it in a different way, or do I come up with a system for taking orders and delivering them myself? So we'll come to that in a bit, but I just wanted to also speak to you about digital products and virtual services. So digital products are a little bit easier to sell. So if you're selling ebooks or downloadable or software, or I don't know, images of some sort, artwork, anything. If you're a professional copywriter, so anything that's digital is a little bit, of course, better, but the setup is more or less the same, just less the packaging and the shipping part. So it will be easier and faster to set up. The other thing is like thinking about virtual services. So if I was an accountant, for example, and now I cannot see my clients anymore, what can I do, right? So probably if I'm a lawyer or an accountant or a consultant, I could do Zoom, Zoom sessions with my clients. I maybe want a calendar, so I may want my clients to go book a certain time, and we do the session, and maybe I want them to pay after the session, or to pay when they book, or something like that. So there are little bits and pieces that you can add to an existing website. You don't need to go fully e-commerce. There are like small things that you can do. Fitness, yoga instructors, personal trainers. Many people are doing stuff on YouTube. The biggest problem is you can't monetize. Like you're giving your stuff away for free. It's good for exposure, but since it's there for free, it will be hard for you later on to put it behind the membership site and start charging for it, unless you continue to create. So let me just show you this. I'm gonna click here. So I come across this one from somebody that I'm following. It's called Patteron. And basically, it's a platform, it's ready-made, and it's made for creative people, or, they call it creators. So basically, if you have any content, if you have any type of content, you can go there, you can build your membership site, and it's actually free. What they do is when you sell, so let's say you're going to do a subscription. I'm not going to say $5 a month, but you can start as low as you want, and or you can put any price you like. So 5, 10, 20, 100, whatever it is. Um, let's say, I don't know, if I'm a gym owner and my memberships now are suffering because people cannot come to the gym. So I've started to do virtual fitness classes, but I'm doing it on YouTube and they're free. What I can do, I can go to this site, it's called the Patreon site, create my virtual gym there, put my memberships there, and people will be paying the monthly subscription. And then the content will be locked. When they pay, the content is unlocked. And then all these exercises are there, and you could also schedule them. So you could upload 10 or 15 videos, and then there will be one a week or one a day or whichever way. And this platform will do it for you. It's pretty easy to work with. It doesn't need anything. The hosting is there already. And all what they do is like kind of a profit share model with you. So when you make money, they get a cut of it. I don't know if I forgot anybody else. Like, of course, it's not an exhaustive list, but it's kind of a brainstorming ideas of what people can do depending on what your business is right now. Now, here's the big question. Let's take it from the restaurant's perspective, for example. Now, restaurants are using um, Skip the Dishes and Uber Eats and DoorDash. I've learned that these networks can take as much as 30% of each order. So now the question for people is it worth it? Usually my answer is based on what are you getting out of it? So one part of it is a little bit more exposure. So if you're a restaurant and you're on Skip the Dishes and people fire up the app to order, you get some suggestions based on other orders and whatever. So there's a little bit of marketing involved, but also they deal with all the back end stuff, which is the same thing that happens if you're using something like Shopify. So Shopify has its own hosting. So you're hosted there, your security, maintenance, daily backups, and everything else. So should anything bad happen for any reason, they can take one of your backups and restore it, and things go back to normal in no time. So it's a good thing to use a ready-made platform because they deal with a lot of headache that maybe you don't want to be dealing with yourself. The problem is it comes at a cost. So if you look at Shopify, they charge anything from maybe, I can't remember, but we can go and have a look at the website as well. I think the cheapest would be 20 per month or something, but all the way up to maybe $200-300 a month. The other thing is when you're using a platform to build your store, they look easy, nice, and the barrier to entry is very low at the beginning. The problem is as you grow and as your business grows, if you need something else, so if you need to add integration with CRM, or if you need to add packing software or integration with Canada Post or something like that, you don't know if they'll charge you. Like some things are not very clear from the beginning. You don't have full control. Some of the setups that I've seen as well on Shopify, Squarespace, and Wix, you don't even have your own domain there. So your shop would be shopify.com/Stephanie or shopify.com/ your best coffee shop or whatever, or as a subdomain, mycoffeeshop.shopify.com is the easiest thing to start. But all the traffic that comes to you is actually not really coming to you. It's going to shopify.com. So you're drawing all your marketing dollars are going to bring this traffic to some other network, right? It comes to your shop, they're buying from you, but at the end of the day, the data, everything is there, is on somebody else's network, is not yours. So this is another thing. Do the charges increase when I add a feature? Is it going to be a substantial percentage of my turnover? So the way I look at it is I'm not going to look at it which one is the easiest, because we all learn different things. I'm sure during the past maybe month you've learned so many things that you didn't know that you could do. And it's the same thing. Don't let technology choose for you. Don't get locked into a solution only because it's so easy. Think of it long term. Think of it, okay, during the next year, how much am I willing to share from my profit in order to have these things taken care of? You know, the platform itself, the hosting part, whatever. Can I do this myself? Can I hire someone to do it, pay them once, and then maybe run everything myself? Is that possible? Is it, you know, why am I scared of learning something new? Or is help readily available? Can somebody help with this? Um, I'm certainly leaning towards, you know, the restaurant businesses. For example, I would advise us, everybody, if you're still ordering food once in a while, call them an order so that they don't end up paying 25% of whatever you pay them to some other network. I'm not against the networks. I mean, I love them. I think they're doing a great job. But I'm thinking sometimes for the small restaurants who are barely surviving this crisis, they can't afford to keep dishing out 20% and 30%. When things are going well, yeah, that's fine. But so this is the thing. We look at it long term wise. On 12 months, if I'm very successful and I'm getting X amount of orders per month, how much of this can I be paying to the network that's making this possible for me versus do I build it now, spend a little bit of time that I have now, spend a little bit of money up front, and then be in full control. And if I need to add a feature, take something down, replace something, or add another payment option, you know, am I going to pay somebody else for it, or is there I'm in full control? Am I drawing all the traffic to my own website, or is going somewhere else? So that's the last slide. I'm ready for questions. I'd love to hear what you think. And if you need any help, please contact me. I'm happy to get on Zoom with you for 30 minutes or even a little bit more. I have the time nowadays to hear about your case, what you're trying to do, and give you the right advice. Thank you.
Hang on, don't go away yet. Now that you've completed this video, I'm going to have to ask you to click on the like if you have enjoyed it, because everybody likes to be liked, you know? You can also subscribe. That way, you're going to get all of the cool YouTube stuff made by this guy right here. And finally, why not let all your friends know how great you thought this video was? You can share it with them or even use it in your blog. Thank you. Thank you very much. We see you soon.